Welcome to Deep Conversations Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Stewart, and I'm here with a New York City native. She's a natural entrepreneur, a wellness advisor, and activist. She is a superwoman of all talents who's learned to make sense of the challenges of modern femininity. She's highlighting a path for others to follow. So everybody, please welcome Miss Epiphany Kendell.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, you being from New York, tell us what it was like growing up for you in the big city.
So I'm still here right now, actually, in Queens. Actually, I'm still in the apartment that I grew up in.
Wow.
Yeah, we moved. So my mom, I'm the only child. We moved to Syracuse, New York. So I grew up there as well. A lot of middle school, we moved back to New York, then we moved back to Syracuse. And when we moved back here when my grandfather died. So that was like 2006. So I have being in the city and then being in Syracuse, two totally different places.
Yeah.
Two totally different experiences, but they both help mold and shape me into who I am today.
Okay. Now, again, growing up in the big city, how difficult? I wouldn't say difficult, but what is it like being a Black woman growing up in just what they say, the city that never sleeps?
Yeah. I don't know. So I live in the hood, from the hood, and it's just you just do it, you just live it. You know what I mean? Like everything is fast paced, of course. After a while, when I got into, but we can get into that later, but when I got into holistic health and living, I had to learn how to shut that off and kind of learn how to balance myself and keep and quiet my space, because everybody here is hustle. And I had to learn that that's not like that type of mentality is not where I want to be. I don't want to hustle. I want to align. I want things. I just want to be where I'm supposed to be. Work smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? Like, so living here, I just was in Syracuse for about a month, right? And then I came back to the city and immediately everything was moving so fast, but I was still on the upstate, very slow pace. And I had to, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot, how the energy is here. Duh, I live here and I forgot that fast. But I'm like, no, I'm not going with that. I'm not going with the machine, because living here is a machine. And, if you don't control the machine, it will control you.
Yeah, it's me. I'm from Delaware, and it's real slow pace, kind of, just a mellow. And the first time I went to New York, obviously, going to Manhattan, that was like, it was like a shock to your system. Because as soon as you get in New York, you got horns blowing, the taxis is flying, people. There's like 100 people walking across the street. I'm like, this is nuts. But I
love my city.
Yeah, it's a few times I've been out. I love it, but it's fast.
Very fast.
Now, next month it's Women's History Month.
Yes.
And you being a self-published author? Let's talk. Now tell me about your book titled Hood Girls Do It Better. There you go.
Yeah. This is my baby. So this is the second cover. Actually, this wasn't the original one.
Okay.
Published this when I was 25. So for my 25th birthday, it was kind of like book launch, quarter of a century kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my mom and I came up with the idea because, I've been through from young just a lot of things in my life and just worked. I don't know. I've just always had a knowing. I remember always just having a feeling that I was important some kind of way or gonna do something important. So I never really let things get me down too much. I always kind of kept a positive attitude, and that's definitely, my mom helped me out with that as well. But I just remember a lot of the girls, just young women, will always gravitate towards me, asking me questions about life. And I've always surrounded myself with older women, and they always gave me sound advice. You know what I mean? Especially living in a hood. It really takes a village no matter where we are. But in the hood, you really need that, because you're constantly bombarded with things that make you go left.
Yeah.
So to have the village there for me, that just was a blessing within itself. So I'm like, okay, I've been through these things, or gone through these things, from molestation, rape, low self-esteem, dealing with street guys, STDs, like things that people don't want to talk about. So when young women were coming to me for advice, I'm like, I used to tell my mom, like, what are they coming to me for? She was like, you just have something that people are drawn to. You need to write a book. I'm like, what? So that's how the universe works, because as soon as she planted that seed and I started writing, I walked out my building one day and there was a flyer up of this Black woman named Shaka. She wrote a book. She's from Queensbridge. So she wrote a book about her experience in Queensbridge. I've never seen anything like that. I've never really met an author woman, so I took that flyer down to use that as this is what I'm going to do. And then from there, it just went.
Now, and it's well, you just saying that, about, living in the hood and stuff. I can remember just having stories for myself, thinking of how it really those things can really pull you away. You know what I mean? That's just as, when you're in the hood, you got houses all next to each other and you got apartments stacked on top of each other. So all of that is just consuming you, all the noise. When you come outside, there's cops there, there's fire trucks, there's ambulance, and it's so much stuff. And then, you saying, young girls and everything, gravitating toward you, that's a spiritual thing. I don't even think,
I did not for nothing, even now. And I work with, I do Reiki healing, right? And I read energy, and I use that as part as my, when I'm doing facials and stuff. Even now, it still surprises me. I'm like, what? So I was picked on growing up. Like, not really many people really, I didn't have a lot of friends, especially in Syracuse, right? I'm from New York. I dress different. It was always a problem. So I always had that, and my shadow work helped me with that, but I still kind of have pieces of it. Like, what do you want?
I know, me too. Yeah, yeah. And it is. I got teased a lot growing up too, because it was just, I don't know. I was always just quiet. You know what I mean? So, like you said, when all the way up through high school, it was just, I always stayed to myself, and it just. People would come up to me and they would start speaking, and I would get annoyed, because it was like you said, it's like, what do you want? Like, let me just stay in my space. You know what I mean? You coming over here, you messing up my vibes, man.
Yeah.
Now, you said you have a second book coming out?
So yes, Holistically Hood.
Okay.
I just basically want to help my people, my girls and guys, learn how to not get consumed with what we're offered. So just because the foods so when you walk out of my building, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bodegas, a Chinese restaurant, and then a 99-cent store. So I basically, in Holistically Hood, is showing them how to make better choices, whether it's with the body products, because there's so many chemicals in these products. That's like, we wonder why we're having breast cancer and problems having children. We never had these issues, you know what I mean? How to eat better. a freaking lemon is probably like $2 at the corner store. We actually just now have a grocery store. Oh, I forgot about that grocery store in the back of the projects, but that's because they built condos over there, so we know who that's for.
Right. Yep.
Because we have the best view. My hood. They're gonna be. They're trying to like tear these buildings down now. So that's what that's basically about. I'm teaching them about how meditation helps us, how we need to start using our intuition more, but in layman's terms, because, you have to show them and teach them in ways they will understand.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Now that must be going on. That must be going on. Everywhere, because they're doing the same thing down here.
With the buildings?
They're tearing down on, and like you said, who they're for. I do a lot of Black history reading and stuff like that. And the one thing that I learned, that when they start doing big time construction and you start working on highways and stuff like that, that means it's gentrification. So what they're doing is they're moving back down and they're gonna push us out.
But we need to go out. We need to go back to the land.
Yeah.
And I be saving all my grapes with my seeds. I save my avocados. Like where my mind is right now, I'm really working towards building. So it's only my mom and I now. We lost my grandmother and my stepdad during COVID. So we went from like 4 to 2 of us. But I'm telling my mom, like, everything I'm doing and grinding and wanting to make money for is so that we can go get us some land, build us our own crib, and just have that true stability, because this ain't it.
No, and that's true. Now I want to talk about your mind frame. You know what I mean, and your mind state, like you said, where you're at now. How everything that you've been through, how has that shaped you into who you are now?
So my dad has been incarcerated since I was 16, but he always made sure I knew who he was. He's like a revolutionary. Like, he's Muslim, but he knows the Quran, he knows the Bible, he knows the Torah. I think it's the Torah for Jewish people. I'm not sure. So he's always had that mindset. Very well respected in many places, wherever anybody knows us. My mom raised me by herself. So she kind of open-minded, but very closed-minded. I've always been different. She doesn't even know where I came from. The things that I've been into and drawn to, nobody know. That's how I know that it's, we really truly have chosen ones.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been here, I've been placed here to kind of raise my parents, and that's what I'm doing now, because they're surprised every time, and I'm surprised every time I'm speaking to them. But what I remember is it took a breakup, really. I was dating an older guy, 10 years older than me. And when we broke up, I just remember going online and typing in like life coaches, and then that like YouTube, and it just took me down a rabbit hole. And I just started, I don't know, the universe just started books and this and that. And I'm like, I need to get off of birth control because this is not for me. So when I got off of birth control, my skin, because I've always had great skin. I'm peeling now. If they see it, because I did a peel. But my skin started acting crazy. And I'm like, well, what is this from? What's happening? So I started doing research, and I started learning how to do juice fasts. And that's how that became, So my mind, once that kind of shook my life, things just, I don't even know. It's
you was talking about the birth control. I had some years ago, I was just doing research on stuff, and I had fell onto, I'm gonna tell you a quick story about the birth control. But there was a woman named Margaret Sanger, Sanger, and she was in charge of the gas chambers and the chemical chambers in the Holocaust. So what she would do was, when the women would come in who were pregnant, black women, women of color, she would inject them with the chemicals, and the women would start, you know, it would kill their babies, you know what I mean? And then it would eventually kill them.
Yeah.
So when the Holocaust was over, she went and she started her own practice, and it was called
is that the Planned Parenthood?
Yeah, but it was but at first it was called the birth store. And then when a whole bunch of women, they were going there, you know, for birth control and stuff like that. But when the women started, you know, complaining about it, the government shut her down. But then the government started feeding her money, and they was like, you have to change your name of your building because people are getting on to you. You know? So eventually in 1942, she changed it to Planned Parenthood. Every woman I see, I try to tell them, don't take that birth control. Because years ago, they didn't have to do that. It's a natural, your body is naturally made as a woman to do. You don't need none of that stuff.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have that in my notes to talk about birth control in Holistically Hood. And I want to explain to them, just even on a spiritual level. So I've had 2 abortions within my life. I was 19 for my first one, and actually last year was my second one. Now, it was very irresponsible of me, especially as a 30-something-year-old woman, to be in that type of position. You know what I mean? It's like, girl, what are you doing? You know? So like these are the things that I will be discussing in Holistically Hood as well. Because women we got to learn our cycle. And if our cycle is not on point, that means our diet is not on point. So we need to get that together.
And you're whatever, like you said earlier, whatever's going on the inside of your body, your outside is going to let you know. It's going to show.
Absolutely.
It's going to show. And you have you're the founder of a wellness spa in Queens.
So yes, so I have my wellness studio. I had an infrared sauna inside of it. I'm in a Dominican hair salon, so I have a suite inside. Like when you walk in, it's my suite, and then it's the salon. I loved my baby, but due to electrical issues, it just couldn't work out. So I have that in storage until it's time for me to expand. But that was like nobody in the hood. So during COVID, I was the only place still open, because not for nothing, I was not shutting my business down. Wasn't working. It wasn't happening.
Yeah.
But I did make sure to take proper precautions. You know what I mean? Temperature checking, wearing the mask, 1 appointment at a time. You know, I did what I had to do.
Right.
So people started to catch on. Now, I never promoted. So in my hood, it's my hood, and it's like 3 other neighborhoods that's well known: Queensbridge, Ravenswood, Woodside. I've never promoted to the hoods. I've always worked and built my name in Manhattan, and all my clients from there just followed me. So I've had a few people in the hood. So when they posted me, all of the neighborhoods went off, like this thing happened, and then everybody started coming to me. So people who've never, listen, the hoodest of the hoodest dudes were coming in getting facials, and I had them for a very low price, you know? So nobody never had experienced that before. And then when I had the sauna, they like, what? So that was my point, to bring that to the hood, to make them aware that even if you don't come promote me, just come get this. I was giving away experiences, because I want my people to know that there are different methods to healing, you know? So
and me being a man as well, for a long time, I'm like, I'm not going nowhere and get no damn facial. I'm not, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. But as I got older, you know, and you do those kind of things, just the relaxation that it brings to your spirit, you know what I mean? And then, you know, good conversation. And then you just the whole vibe of the whole thing. You walk out
different.
And all the chaos in the world, when you walk out of there, none of that matters. It don't matter. Nothing matters.
No. And that's another thing, like a lot of people always say, even my reviews always say, it was so much more than a facial, because of course I'm doing sound healing, I'm doing Reiki. Some people I'll pull a few oracle cards for, but I'm a healer. You know what I mean? That's what I do. And our people, I get so fed up sometimes. I'm like, oh, I need to just do these things in my studio for the money, because there's so many other things I can do with my business that will bring in a lot of money, but that's not what I'm called to do. And God always shows me that. So it's slower this way, but it is better. It's slower, but it's better for me.
And this, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna put it out there.
Yeah.
You already know, but as hard as you were working during the pandemic and as hard as it was for you, it done slowed down a little bit, but it's something on the other side for you it's gonna be something that's way more than what you can even imagine. You know what I mean? Because, like you said, everybody's following. No matter what you're gonna do, you have people who are for you, you know what I mean? And then you said, and don't nobody, everybody always talks about, you got to get out the hood and all this kind of stuff, but the people in the hood are the ones that are they're gonna build your brand because it's us, you know what I mean? So yeah, you gonna make it. Yeah, you gonna,
Amen.
You got it.
Amen.
Yeah.
No, I am. Yeah, I tell myself that all the time.
Now, can you talk about how difficult it is for a woman to climb the stairs in business? And a Black woman.
So in this business, it was always, there's a lot of, it's white women, right? Predominantly. So when I Google holistic estheticians and things like that, everyone there, they're white.
Yeah. Yep.
So because and this is another thing that I wanted to talk about I am going to talk about in Holistically Hood as well, because Black women, not all, but some, they rather buy hair and makeup and things like that than to invest in their skin. So within this business, it's really white dominated, and a lot of my clients do be white because they take more. Well, of course, because they age, and I don't want anybody to get offended, but they age a little. They age different from us, so they're on it, they're on top of their game when it comes to it. And I'm not gonna say, oh, it's hard, because honestly, I don't really see anything as hard. It just is what it is. In this business, or just in my life, you know what I mean? Yep. I've worked at many of the best places, from Clinique, Benefit, anything. When I did years in retail, I knocked retail down from the bottom to the top. I've gotten management positions offered, but I always knew that that's not where I wanted to go. And then the same thing within skincare. I got assistant manager. Do you want to do this? Do you want to go to corporate? Because they just love me. And I always walk into these places like, oh, I'm here. It's a blessing for you to have me. And that's just what it was. Even now I have a part-time job, which I just put my 2 weeks in on Valentine's Day, at Blue Mercury, which is another, they sell top of the line skincare, in the place, the location I'm in is where a lot of rich white women, Jewish women, they live, So, to me, it's not hard. I know my stuff. I know what I'm worth, and I go there because, of course, I get a job because I'm still building my business, but I never do what I don't want to do, which is why I'm putting my 2 weeks in here. And I've only been there, working there probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks, but I realize this is not what I want. I don't like the energy of the management there. So I think if you say that something is hard, then it is. But when you know what you want and you don't go doing things that you don't want to do, life just flows, honestly. And it's just for me.
And that's power too. That's power to know who you are. And when you go somewhere, like you said, if I know this ain't what it's gonna be, I'm out. You know what I mean? It's no reason to waste your time. And then to, you being in all these different places and you seeing all these different, I guess you could say, you know, being around rich folk. You know what I mean? It's, but that's just, I look at that as God is just showing you, he's showing you, you know, these are the things I got, you know, these are the, I'm going to put you over there and we get them out and you going to be right there. Yeah.
Yes. That's how I see it, because everything is always a blessing for me. There was this product that I've been buying from this woman out in California. She's a white woman, but very down to earth. I love her spirit. And my first time, she was looking for brand ambassadors. So I was like, all right, let me just reach out and see. So now we connected. She's a celebrity facialist. So now we're connecting, and I'm gonna go to fly out to Cali. There's another woman, Shani Darden. She's a celebrity facialist as well. And I have an interview with her company because she has her product line now. And she's from Cali as well. Kelly Rowland's Face. She does a few, Jessica Alba. So for me, where I am now, I'm only connecting with what makes sense. You know, like, so I can level up. What is it that I need to do? I sit down with myself a lot. I've been spending a lot of time with myself for these last few months because I just turned 33 and life is about to take a turn for me. And I know it. I'm being sat down on all levels. I'm used to always dating. And I took a year off when I turned 30. I paid for a financial advisor, a spiritual advisor, a trainer, and I took myself to Paris for 5 days. So that was 1 year that I didn't date. And then after that, I just went back crazy again. But this time around is different because I know I see myself pregnant. I see my other half coming. So I have to set my life and get me in order for real. It's like, it's time. So everything makes sense, like has to make sense for me now. Everything that I do has to align. I don't have time to play around. God has things and I don't have time for distractions.
And people don't realize when God has something for you, if you're not set and focused and ready to receive it at the exact time that he's got it for you, you're gonna miss it. And that's why so many people always say, well, you know, God, where you at? You know, you ain't been doing, you know, I'm over here, I'm going through all this stuff. You ain't paying attention. You're not, and like you said, you sat down with yourself. That's the most sacred thing that you can do is learn yourself.
Yes.
Learn yourself and your spirit and everything, because when you do that, nothing else, no stress, no worry, none of that stuff matters because you're in tune with you.
Yes. That's the whole point of me writing my books for girls. That's the point of me having my spa studio. So when people come, I'm always asking them questions so that they can ask themselves the questions, and that because I don't help heal you heal yourself. I just help give you the tools and help guide you to do that. You know, so now I really know that all of my dark times was because God wanted me here doing this type of work. You know what I mean? And I want everybody to tap in because we're all psychics. We used to years ago be able to communicate without phones. We used to be able to communicate, you know what I mean?
They used to just look up at the stars and you know where you're going. Yeah. I'm right there with you too.
You know what I mean? Hello. So I want us to tap back in. And even when it comes to diet, so I've done 30-day juice fast. I've done water fast, 15-day water fast. So I think life is about a balance. It's not about don't eat meat, don't do this. But if you're going to eat the best of it, and don't let it be all of this cooked food and all of this craziness. You know what I mean? Eat more fruits, eat more vegetables. Let's learn to eat more because diabetes don't run in our family. Heart disease don't run in our family. It's the lifestyle that runs in our family.
And like you said, with the stores down and where we live, that's some strategic stuff that they do. To sit that there to just, when you eat something and you feel sluggish, there's a reason for that. You ain't supposed to be eating that.
No.
You ain't supposed to be eating none of that.
No, not even supposed to be having the itis when we eat. We're supposed to be eating and feel alive. And it's crazy because the other day I walked in the store. So there's one store over here I just don't patronize at all. But I was like, yo, this man watched me grow up. All of these stores around here, and during the pandemic, all I saw, okay, whether you were scamming or not, these Rolexes and these cars, y'all could have got one of these spots available and had your own store. You know what I mean? So like a lot of the older men out here, they be talking their stuff, but I talk my stuff back because y'all not really talking about anything. You know, thank God I get a lot of respect because of who I am, but it's like y'all really not talking about much. Do something real and then come talk.
I know. It's and a lot of the older men nowadays, they're setting bad examples. I don't think they realize that they're setting bad examples for the young men growing up, and that's why the young men, everything is so chaotic because there's no role model. I heard a guy say there's a lot of role models out here who are perpetrating models and just playing roles. You know what I mean? It's like you can't. I look around.
Let me tell you something. My stepdad is now he was been well respected for years running around in these streets. You know what I mean? My father too. The thing, and I tell them this all of the time, is they respect y'all gangster, right? But all of these young ones want to come up. So that gangster will go out the window. But the respect will really have come if y'all came home. Well, when y'all came home, y'all stayed focused, got your money up, because these little dudes don't respect a broke man.
No.
If you broke, they're not listening to you.
And they can sense it because they're broke.
Exactly my point. So I'm just saying, and that's why I stopped when I had someone wanted me to do like a reality show with my Hood Girls Do It Better when I used to go to the schools and take the girls crying that would have gotten raped. We would have got pitched to and got a show. But I'm like, I don't want to exploit their healing. That's one. For two, I stopped doing the community, the speakings, because I'm like, I need to sit back and have and really build my business so that they can see like, okay, she has something. Nobody wants to honestly take advice from someone who has nothing. That's just it.
That's true. Yep. And that's true. Man, now you've made a little way for yourself, you know. And so what are some jewels that you can pass on to some younger women who are trying to find their way as well?
Oh Lord. One of the things that for sure helped me, and that, like when they say it's like self-love, right? But it's truly hard. Like, so it's not as easy as what people think, but I think it's never stop. Don't give up on wanting to love yourself, because what happens is we'll do things. For example, when I did get pregnant, right? I said that was a setup for myself. I was drunk with this guy that I dealt with a long time ago, and he ended up taking the condom off, which a lot of men are doing these days. I had no clue, but it's like I already knew that. I said I'm not drinking anymore. I didn't listen to myself, and I didn't. So you're not listening to yourself. You're not trusting yourself. That's a part of not loving yourself. Because if you did and you respected yourself, Epiphany, you would have known, don't be out there drinking. You already said you have plenty of signs to stop. Then you flirting and your ego is on high now, talking to this guy because you know he's on you and he's somebody in his life. You know what I mean? Like he's that it guy in his world. And then I ended up in that position. Somebody could have easily taken that and either had the baby knowing that there was really no connection, or even like been down on themselves. So it's like, don't beat yourself up on this journey. Every day is a new opportunity for you to say, I'm not going to be who I was yesterday. That's the main thing, because you will beat yourself up. You beat yourself down.
No, for
and
real.
It's okay.
For real.
And it's okay, because this is part of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, but don't beat yourself up either.
Mm.
So that's one of the main things. That's the main thing. Because once you understand that, okay, this is a part of my journey, and you're saying, okay, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to get myself in that position again. It gets easier as you go. As long as you check in, like those constant check-ins with yourself, they help. They help. Even young, my mother always told me, I kept a journal since I was 13 years old. And when I first met with my first psychic advisor, she kept asking me, like, there's something you're holding on to. There's something you're holding on to. I'm like, what? She's like, I don't know if it's books or something. And then one day with our conversation, I mentioned my journals, and she said, you got to get rid of them. But what I didn't realize is I was harboring all of the ththings that happened to me in my journal. So I think that after either a year of journaling, throw it out, because it's just holding on to stuff that you don't need to hold on to. But the journaling has helped me. I can't live without a journal. I can't live without a journal.
That's funny. That's funny you said that, though, about the journal, because my grandpa used to always tell me, you know, I had a journal myself. It just, you know, just to, again, I didn't talk to nobody, so it's like, I got to get something out. You know what I mean? So, but he said to me, he said, when you putting this stuff on the paper, he said, whether it's negative or it's positive, whatever's on that paper, if you sit that somewhere around you, he said, it's you're making it come alive. So if it's just sitting, he said, if it's just sitting on the paper, and if it's negative that you had to get off of you, he said it's in your air.
Yes.
He was like, you got to get at it. And I'm looking at him, you know, being young, I'm like, Grandpa, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? I'm like, you just talking stuff. But as I got older, it's, again, if you need to get it out, write it out.
And toss it.
Yeah. Toss that thing. Because it's, you don't, it'll sit there, and it'll just be there. And it's a constant reminder in your brain.
It is. Energetically, especially. Yes.
Now, where can they find you on social media?
So everything's Epiphany Kendell or Hood Girls Do It Better. I have my Twitter now, Instagram, of course. Facebook is really, really, truly private. I don't have anybody except family on there, but I do have my business Facebook. So at Epiphany Kendell, EPIPHANY KENDELL, just in case and then everything else is Hood Girls Do It Better.
Right on. Now, I thank you for being on my podcast.
Thank you.
For next month being Women's History Month, it's you know, for me growing up, it was always, I was always taught to just respect women. You know what I mean? And then having, you know, the older women, the family, my grandmothers and my aunts and everybody, it was just, the power of a Black woman is unmatched. You know what I mean?
We have to learn it.
Yeah. And
we don't know it though.
No, I know, because it's so much stuff that just we've been mentally destroyed.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
We've been mentally destroyed as a people, and your platform is rebuilding people's spirits little by little. You know what I mean?
Little by little,
little by little. But you're giving them that experience, and they're going out and they're sharing that positive energy with somebody else. You know what I mean? So even though you may touch one person, it's it'll reach 10, 15 people in that one day. And it started with you.
I pray so.
Yeah.
I pray so, because I log on a lot, and of course I read energy, and I'm just like, oh, what's happening? Like, I can see you don't even really believe this about yourself, but it's like a facade. It's just, I just want us to get back to knowing who we are.
And that was for me, like I was telling you in the beginning, that my platform is just, I wanna give us a voice, a positive voice of just something, just to, we can highlight all of our people, and just everything just cannot be so negative, because that's all we run into now. And it's 90% of us are like you and me, just spiritual beings, just walking and just happy. You know what I mean? Just, again, but at the same time, we not playing. We ain't got no time for no games.
No.
So don't bring no stupid shit over here.
Nothing. Yeah. People already know now. I have them trained where they're like, are you in the mood for me to talk? Like, and it's like, you know what? I am. Because I shut down a lot, like my phone, the internet, and I go away.
And you have to cleanse yourself from this now, because this technology is so, it's a gift and a curse.
Yes.
It is, you know what I mean? Because it gives you such freedom to go out and just be heard all across the world. But at the same time, it's so negative, and just, oh my gosh.
It's crazy. It gets crazier by the day. Literally.
It is.
Literally. I'm like, what now? What is it now? What is the distraction now? What's going on now? Body dysmorphia. I can't wait to talk about that in my book. It's like, okay, love your weave, love your hair, but what's underneath there? Do you really love yourself underneath it all?
I think about that. I don't know who started this and said that this was the thing, you know what I mean? But think about that. You putting on this hair, you putting on these eyelashes, and you putting on this, all of this stuff, and it's like, what are you hiding from?
And then they don't like themselves when I remember I had to get my makeup done for something. I was like, oh, this is cute. And then when I took it off, I was like, oh, I need my makeup done. And I had to catch myself like, no, you don't. This is what normal people look like. And this girl, so I can see how if somebody has, because I had low self-esteem for a very long time growing up. Like, I wouldn't even want to look in the mirror. I hated the way I looked. I hated the way I sounded. It just was bad. So I'm like, no, girl. So, you have to kind of like remind yourself, even with those filters, I try to do my pictures like on my page. When you'll see me, I'll have my scarring, and I'm like, oh, don't I do my videos? I'm like, oh, I ate something bad, so that's that. But anyway, because you could get caught up.
Yeah, no, you can. You and and we've all fell victim to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just what it is. It's just the human nature of it. You know what I mean? You want to be accepted. You know what I mean, by people, but at the same time, as I'm getting older, I don't give a damn.
No, I don't.
Actually,
my homeboys, I have a lot of, I'm from the hood, so all the it guys, those my boys. I'm usually like the only woman when we do go out and whatever. And they like their Rolex, they like cool, swoop, flashy kind of dudes, and they like them girls that look that way. So when certain guys try to holler at me, I'm like, whoa, I'm not even your type.
Yeah.
Like, go where you're going, because bro.
Yeah.
Like, no. No, you just want something to do right now to see if you can pull it. Like, no, please. I know. So
and it's
a thing.
And you know what? I'm going to I want to, when I want to have you back on the show when you have when you get your Your
my
other
second
book?
book?
Yes,
Yes.
I do. So I'm
Let's do it.
I'm gonna be following.
And I can pull up to Delaware too, just to let you know. Because I've never been. When Raven told me, I said, "Oh, well, you want me to pull up to Delaware?" She was like, "No, it's on Zoom." I said, "Okay," because I'm a solo traveler, and wherever I've never been, I'm always pushed to go. So you let me know.
And you know what? It's a group I work with, and we just kind of struck a deal with a library, so I can do my podcast episodes inside of that library. So yeah, when that book comes out,
and I'll bring some books to donate. You let me know.
I will set that whole thing up, and we can have a whole little forum up there, and we can.
I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, there you go. See, now we got it. Thank you for being on this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
You're on YouTube, baby.